The hardest part about feeling enslaved by capitalism in my corporate job and life in general and being constantly on the edge of a breakdown because I am constantly working.
And one thing I've noticed recently these past couple of weeks since daylight savings has finished is an unspoken depressing reality of working 9 to 5.
A recent article was published stating that Australian workers suffered the highest level of burnout at work compared to the rest of the world.
Are you tired? I'm exhausted because corporate drains you, like really drains you.
Honestly, the job market in Australia right now is cooked.
They tell you Australia's free, but freedom shouldn't feel like a full-time job that still can't afford life.
Australia is often described as one of the richest, safest, and most developed countries in the world. A nation built on the promise that if you work hard, follow the rules, and contribute to society, you will be able to live a stable and dignified life. But that promise is breaking. Today, millions of Australians are working full-time or close to it and still struggling to survive. Not to live comfortably, just to survive. Rent consumes most of their income. Grocery bills keep rising every month. Utility bills arrive like threats. Fuel prices punish anyone who needs to commute. Healthcare, childcare, insurance, and basic necessities keep getting more expensive. And yet wages, especially minimum wages, barely move. This is why minimum wage is no longer enough. This is why minimum wage must become a living wage. And this is why so many Aussies feel trapped, exhausted, and exploited. Like modern-day wage slaves in their own country, Australia often boasts one of the highest minimum wages in the world, and technically that is true. On paper, the hourly rate looks impressive when compared internationally. Politicians frequently point to this figure as proof that workers are protected and that the system is fair. But numbers on paper mean nothing when they are disconnected from reality. Minimum wage was never meant to be a number that simply looks good in international rankings. It was meant to guarantee a basic standard of living, a wage that allows someone to pay rent, buy food, cover utilities, access healthcare, and still have a small margin for emergencies or savings. That is no longer the case. In most Australian cities, rent alone consumes 40 to 60% of a minimum wage income. In some cases, it takes even more. Add groceries, transport, electricity, gas, internet, phone bills, and insurance, and suddenly the pay packet is gone before the month is even halfway through. There is no buffer, no safety margin, no room to breathe. Working full-time on minimum wage now means living one unexpected expense away from financial disaster. A car repair, a medical bill, or a rent increase can push someone into debt instantly. That is not a living wage, that is survival wages.
Really, this has been their plan for years. Hierarchies, that is. You know, Albanese, fucking Kevin Rudd, they're all just puppets, mate. They're all fuckheads, but puppets. This is why fucking Port Arthur was orchestrated. Martin Bryan didn't fucking do that. That was a fucking setup. It was all a setup to fucking disarm Australia because of right fucking now what we're looking at. Can you imagine that all us innocent people had fucking firearms when we get the shits? Well, we'd be able to take Australia back, no worries, mate. But they've got us locked in this fucking grid where we can't fucking move. And they know that. They know they've fucking got us. As I said, this is orchestrated for fucking years, mate. Australia is the fucking, where everybody's watching Australia, you know, because we're the ones that are going down first, mate. And fucking, it is a modern day of slavery, what we're going to fucking go through, what our children are going to go through, really. Fucking, it's modern day slavery. It's the fucking pits, mate. How can fucking people actually fucking treat other people like this? Like, fuck me, mate. Let's take this fucking joint.
The hardest part about feeling enslaved by capitalism in my corporate job and life in general and being constantly on the edge of a breakdown because I am constantly working, doing the same thing every single day, just trying to make ends meet, and then more stress just falls on top of me, and I don't get any of that time just to decompress and pull myself out of it and feel who I am again. The hardest part of all that is knowing that I'm a child loss mom, knowing that all of this could end in a second with one phone call, with one discovery of some sort of traumatic traumatic event, all of this could crumble down and it would be for nothing. It would be for nothing except just paying bills to the man, you know? None of this matters. None of this matters. None of this job stuff matters when literally I know it could all end in a second with just one phone call of someone being dead. Literally, my life could crumble tomorrow, today, in a second. My life could be over again. And I feel like, what am I doing all this for? What am I doing all this for? Why am I letting myself get so stressed out, so burnt out, putting all this energy into things I don't care about just to make ends meet? I just feel like I'm drowning all the time. I feel like I'm drowning. I don't know who I am anymore. I haven't felt a zest or happiness for life in so long. I haven't worked out in months. I haven't written a thing in weeks. And even then, it felt like a struggle, like I was trying so hard just to do it. All I want to do is help people. I want to be a light in people's lives. I want to bring people up. I want to be that person for people. And yet I go into work, I type on my little computer all day doing stuff I literally don't give a crap about at all. All day, talking to people maybe 5 minutes all day long, just staring at a computer, clock in, clock out, same thing every day. And I feel like I'm wasting my life doing things for other people instead of for me. I don't do anything for me anymore. I don't do anything for me at all. I feel like I'm constantly output production, doing things for others in not a healing spiritual way in the ways that I want to. And something's got to give, man. I know so many people who feel the same way as I do. I'm preaching to the choir. I know I am. Something's got to give, man.
Are you tired? I'm exhausted because corporate drains you, like really drains you. And I know someone is already thinking, how can sitting at a desk and staring at slides exhaust you? That's adorable. Let me count the ways. It's not just the endless meetings that should have been an email. It's not just the mind-numbing tasks that require 0 brain cells, but somehow all of your energy. It's everything happening around the work that chips away at your psyche. It's the passive-aggressive, and let's be honest, the aggressive-aggressive coworkers. It's the untrained leaders with their unreasonable expectations and deadlines, their quick asks that are actually 3 days of labor. It's your boss's boss doing a casual drop-by that's anything but casual, because suddenly you're giving a status update you didn't even prepare for. It's the frenemies, the gossip that never ends, the pressure to be the top performer every quarter like you're an Olympic athlete. And don't forget the constant need to translate your very normal human language into corporate speak so nobody gets the vapors. Does all this sound familiar? Yeah, it's a lot. And you don't need more grit. You need support. You need a guide. You need someone who knows how to navigate all this nonsense without losing your sanity, your confidence, or let's face it, your career. So if any part of this just hit a little too close to home, drop corporate in the comments, because none of us should be trying to survive this alone.
Inflation is one of the most destructive forces for low-income workers, yet it is rarely discussed honestly. When inflation rises faster than wages, workers are effectively getting a pay cut every single year, even if their salary technically increases. In Australia, inflation has hit essentials the hardest. This is the cruelest part of the system. Groceries rise faster than luxury goods. Electricity and gas spike faster than entertainment costs. Rent rises faster than wages almost everywhere. Minimum wage workers do not spend their income on stocks, investments, or luxury travel. They spend it on survival. So when inflation targets essentials, it hits them first and hardest. A small wage increase cannot compete with double-digit rises in rent, food, and utilities. Every year, workers are forced to downgrade their lives. Cheaper food, shared housing, longer commutes, delayed medical care, and no savings. Inflation quietly strips away dignity. It forces people to work more hours just to stand still. And when wages fail to keep up, the system starts to feel less like employment and more like exploitation. There was a time in Australia when one full-time income could support a household. That era is gone. Today, even dual-income households struggle. For single workers on minimum wage, the situation is brutal. Housing is the biggest pressure point. Rent increases are relentless, and home ownership is completely out of reach for most minimum wage earners. Saving for a deposit feels impossible when rent eats half your income. Food prices continue to rise, shrinking portion sizes while costs increase. What used to be basic groceries now feel like luxury items. Meat, fresh vegetables, dairy, once staples, are becoming optional for many. Utilities add another layer of pressure. Electricity and gas bills rise regardless of income. You pay more simply for existing. Fuel prices punish anyone who lives far from work, which is increasingly common as people are pushed out of city centres by rent. The result is a population that works harder than ever and feels poorer every year. This is not because Australians are lazy. This is because the cost of living has broken the relationship between work and reward.
When you guys said the job market was cooked, I thought you meant like 6-figure jobs. Like, why did I just get rejected from a job at Macca's? No. I don't think you heard me right. At Macca's. I have a bachelor's degree. I went to uni. I literally thought going to uni was the answer. But no. In this economy, if you don't have a relationship with the CEO of the company straight out of uni, you're cooked. So I've been auto-applying on Sprout for the past 3 months in hopes that I can get a job that pays me like $25 an hour. And I am finally getting some interviews. So moral of the story here is that if you have a job in this economy, you better keep it. Please just keep your job because it's so rough out here.
So I did this little experiment where I applied for 3,000 jobs in 1 month just to see what had happened. And why do I even test myself? Because I got so far like 100 responses and none of them offered me a job. Albeit they all look for experience in different roles and different industries and whatever, but 3,000 jobs is pretty significant. I think I applied for every single job under the sun. So I think the job market's fucked in Sydney, if you have to ask me in a very frank and specific way. I really am baffled as to how people get jobs. What is this city coming to where you can't live, you can't work, and you can't play? Isn't that what Sydney, Australian culture is supposed to be? Well, it certainly is not that anymore.
They tell you Australia is free, but freedom shouldn't feel like a full-time job that still can't afford life. Look closer, not at the flag, not at the slogans, at the structure. Because what we're living in doesn't behave like a nation anymore. It behaves like a corporation, a very profitable one. In the old world, slavery needed chains. Today, it needs contracts. Mortgages that last a lifetime. Student debt that follows you into your 40s. Fines, tolls, fees, subscriptions, compliance costs. Miss one payment and watch how fast freedom evaporates. You don't work to live anymore. You live to service debt. They call it participation. But when opting out means homelessness, hunger, or being erased from society, that isn't consent. That's coercion with better branding. We're told to be grateful for work. Any work. Even when full-time wages can't secure housing, stability, or dignity, productivity goes up, profits explode, your pay barely moves. And when you ask why, they point at inflation, as if inflation is a natural disaster and not a policy choice. Look at who the system protects. Corporations get personhood, tax minimization, liability shields, government bailouts. People get surveillance, compliance, penalties, and lectures about personal responsibility. If a corporation fails, it's rescued. If you fail, it's your fault. Essential services, privatized. Energy, transport, healthcare layers, aged care, employment services. You pay shareholders before you're served. And the government doesn't stop it, it manages it. Elections roll around and they tell you change is coming. But all that really changes is the branding on the managers. The business model stays intact. Banks are untouchable. Multinationals are welcomed. Extractive industries write their own rules. You don't vote on that, you just live with it. This isn't freedom. It's least existence, your time, your energy, your future. Run it back to you at interest. Modern slavery doesn't need whips or chains. It needs bills that never end, rules you never negotiated, and choices that aren't real choices. You're not owned. You're consumed. And the most dangerous part, they've convinced people this is normal. That struggling is a personal failure. That exhaustion is just adulthood. That questioning the system makes you ungrateful. But when a society requires permanent stress just to survive, the problem isn't the people. It's the machine. And machines don't stop themselves. They have to be seen before they can be challenged. I'm Ashen Quill, and this isn't rebellion. It's pattern recognition.
The most damaging part of the minimum wage crisis is not just financial, it is psychological. When people realise that no matter how hard they work, they will never get ahead, motivation dies, hope disappears. Life becomes a loop of work, bills, stress and exhaustion. Many Australians feel trapped in jobs they hate because quitting is too risky. Missing even one paycheck can mean falling behind on rent. Taking time off feels dangerous. Pursuing education or retraining feels impossible when survival demands every dollar and every hour. This creates a modern form of economic slavery. Not chains, but dependency. Not force, but fear. Fear of losing housing. Fear of debt. Fear of falling behind permanently. A system where full-time work does not guarantee stability is not a fair system. It is a system designed to extract labour while offering the bare minimum in return. A living wage is not about luxury. It is not about entitlement. It is about fairness. A living wage means that someone working full-time can afford secure housing, nutritious food, utilities, and transport, healthcare. A small amount of savings, a basic sense of security without constant anxiety. If wages do not rise in line with inflation and cost of living, then minimum wage becomes meaningless. It stops being a flaw and turns into a trap. Australia cannot call itself a fair society while full-time workers rely on debt, food banks, or multiple jobs just to survive. Economic growth means nothing if it does not translate into better lives for ordinary people.
Okay, hello. It is Monday, the 10th of November. I don't even know where to start this one. I don't know. Sorry, looking like this because I just got out of the shower, just to get that out of the way. But I've just gone out of the shower and I just started bursting into tears. I don't know. I feel so. Okay, I just don't know how to start this. Basically, here's an update. I don't have a job anymore. Because I'm casual, if you know how casual works, yeah. But in saying that, I wasn't coping at this job anyways. I got treated awful. If you've seen one of my videos, it was like everyone was asking me how my first day was, and it went awful, and I wanted to leave, but I couldn't, and I literally turned down that job. Turned down another job for this job, and I just can't believe I did that. But I, at the time, thought this was right for me, and yeah, well, I didn't have a great first job experience in Melbourne, so yeah, that's that. It really took a toll on my mental health and everything, but I just had to push through because I needed the job and I needed money to survive after barely surviving moving here. So I haven't had a job for about a week now. Last week was kind of messy because I went to the races and, well, I had to deal with my hangover for pretty much the whole week. So it was up and down, but I don't know what I'm feeling right now. I feel very lost. Like, what am I doing? I'm very broke. I'm just being real. Like, I just don't know. Sorry, this is just like gonna make no sense. I just don't know how I'm feeling. I think I just feel very lost. I don't know what to do. I hate being unemployed because my schedule just goes way out of whack. Like, I'm a person who likes routine and needs routine. Like, I get up, I go to the gym, I go to work, come home, have dinner. I don't know, it sounds boring, but that's just like my routine and I like it. And now that I'm unemployed again, I can't have that. I just, like, why would I have that? Like, I just like sleep in, apply for jobs all day. Like, what? I don't know. Like, how do you find routine in that? I just struggle a lot doing that. They say I have something to do, but being employed, I don't. So, and like, I feel like you can't do much without any money, anyways. Like, I don't know. I think I'm gonna end this here because I don't really even know what I'm saying. Like, none of this is making sense. But that's update for anyone who's wondering. Yeah, I just cool, no job. I just feel like I'm back to square one. I tried not to stress last week. Like it didn't really bother me last week. But now I think as of yesterday, it hit, and I just feel like I'm back to square one. I feel like it didn't hit me as much because now I have an apartment and that's stable now, but it's not going to be stable if I can't pay the rent. But I paid the rent for this month, so that's fine. But yeah, I don't know. In saying this, if anyone has a job in Melbourne, please let me know because yeah, I have applied for jobs obviously, and I know I should probably go into places, but I work in corporate. Corporate is all I've ever known. I never seen anyone go to an office and ask for a job. I don't know how that works. But I am open to all avenues. So I might try anything and everything. But yeah. Okay. Yeah, but that's the update. Sorry, I think I should complete that out so I can move on with my day. But if anyone is in the same boat, I would love to know. Because yeah, I feel like when I make these I get tons of messages of people going through the exact same. So it's really nice to connect. But yeah, that's our current situation. I don't know how to take it. I don't know how to sit with this. Yeah, just mentally not doing okay all over again. I feel like I am back to square one. Anyways, that's it. Thanks. Everyone watch. Bye.
Honestly, the job market in Australia right now is cooked. I understand why so many grads are really worried about it. And you hear a lot about negative stories. And honestly, here's the truth. While competition is tough, industry like engineering, healthcare, IT, and trade is still crying out loud. So the key to adapting is, I think, networking, tailoring your applications, and staying open to opportunities you might not really think of it in the first round. You can always come back to your ultimate goal or ultimate position. But I remember being in the position after uni, and it definitely wasn't easy, but persistence really did pay off. So yes, it's really tough, but definitely not hopeless.
A recent article was published stating that Australian workers suffered the highest level of burnout at work compared to the rest of the world. The report found out that 62% of Aussies were burnt out compared to the 48% globally. The reason for this is that managers have productivity paranoia as working from home has become the norm. And because of this, managers are questioning their confidence in their workers' productivity. However, what's interesting is that 85% of the people that were surveyed said that they felt like they've never worked harder in their life. Would you agree? Workplaces are considering bringing people back into the office. However, this might backfire and cause people to actually quit. Also, with low unemployment, people actually have the choice more now than ever before to actually find workplaces that offer these working from home arrangements. I know when I used to work my 9 to 5, my managers would set in weekly check-ins, if not daily, to monitor my output and productivity during the pandemic. I think managers should trust their employees, especially if they're getting the work done, right? What do you think?
Are you tired? I'm exhausted because corporate drains you, like really drains you. And I know someone is already thinking, how can sitting at a desk and staring at slides exhaust you? That's adorable. Let me count the ways. It's not just the endless meetings that should have been an email. It's not just the mind-numbing tasks that require 0 brain cells, but somehow all of your energy. It's everything happening around the work that chips away at your psyche. It's the passive-aggressive, and let's be honest, the aggressive coworkers. It's the untrained leaders with their unreasonable expectations and deadlines, their quick asks that are actually 3 days of labor. It's your boss's boss doing a casual drop-by that's anything but casual, because suddenly you're giving a status update you didn't even prepare for. It's the frenemies, the gossip that never ends, the pressure to be the top performer every quarter like you're an Olympic athlete. And don't forget the constant need to translate your very normal human language into corporate speak so nobody gets the vapors. Does all this sound familiar? Yeah, it's a lot. And you don't need more grit. You need support. You need a guide. You need someone who knows how to navigate all this nonsense without losing your sanity, your confidence, or let's face it, your career. So if any part of this just hit a little too close to home, drop corporate in the comments because none of us should be trying to survive this alone.
Australia is no longer facing a temporary cost of living problem. This is not a short-term inflation spike. This is not something that will magically fix itself with time. What the country is experiencing right now is a structural breakdown between work and survival. And that is one of the most dangerous economic lines a society can cross. When minimum wage no longer guarantees stability, the meaning of work itself collapses. For generations, the social contract was simple and clear. If you work full-time, you will not be rich, but you will be safe. You will have a roof over your head. You will eat properly. You will handle emergencies. You will slowly build a life. That contract is now broken for millions of Australians. Today, minimum wage does not protect dignity. It manages desperation. People are not failing the system. The system is failing the people. When workers feel like slaves, it is not because they hate work. Australians are among the hardest working people in the world. They are exhausted because effort no longer translates into progress. They are drained because every year demands more work for less security. They are angry because they are doing everything right and still being punished. This is how economic resentment is born. A society where people work harder yet fall further behind does not stay stable forever. Trust erodes, hope disappears. People stop believing in fairness, institutions, and leadership. When survival consumes every thought, creativity dies, families delay having children, young people give up on home ownership, mental health collapses, social cohesion weakens. And most importantly, once people stop believing that hard work leads anywhere, they stop caring about preserving the system itself. That is why the minimum wage debate is not just about money. It is about the future of Australia. A living wage is not radical. It is not extreme. It is not socialism. It is the bare minimum requirement for a functioning capitalist society. If full-time workers cannot survive, the economy is not strong. It is hollow. Growth figures mean nothing if they are built on exhausted, indebted, and insecure workers. Australia can continue pretending that small wage increases are enough while rents, groceries, utilities, and fuel explode, or it can face reality. Because a country that relies on people working endlessly just to survive is not prosperous, it is not fair, and it is not free. If minimum wage remains disconnected from the real cost of living, more Australians will feel trapped, more will burn out, more will disengage, and eventually the consequences will not be economic, they will be social. This is the warning stage. Australia still has a choice. Rebuild the link between work and dignity, or accept a future where full-time employment feels like modern slavery. And once a society normalises that, there is no easy way back.